What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of TECSpertZ. My name is Nick Green, the News and Sports Director with WZMB.
My name is Tyler Bonacore, sports reporter for the East Carolinian.
My name is Caleb Johnson, sports editor for the East Carolinian.
And my name is Kenny Gates, station manager for WZMB.
And we are back with yet again another episode of TECSpertZ, talking about what just happened last week, where it was not the best week for the ECU Pirates baseball team. Went 1-3 overall in the week. However, we were, I would say, an inning away in two games from this weekend being 3-1. I would say that in both the Duke and then the Sunday game, obviously.
Same for Saturday.
And honestly, yeah, you could say 4-0 actually, because we're an inning away from the Saturday game too. But we're going to talk about that here in just a second. Gentlemen, obviously 1-3, not the greatest weekend that we wanted. There's some positives, but overall 1-3 is just not a good look. What were your thoughts overall on the weekend?
I think, coming in, we said 2-2 would be a great week. So to fall to 1-3 is kind of heartbreaking, especially with two games. We got walked off with two games. So that's pretty sickening. But, I mean, like Nick said, there's things to build off. I think we saw some okay pitching performances and some guys got back into motion at the plate. But nonetheless, kind of disappointing, I can't lie.
Obviously a losing record throughout the week is disappointing. But UTSA is a good team. Duke's obviously not a bad team either. But for me, I feel like the biggest takeaway is we gotta get a closer, someone who's able to go in when games are tight, because that's two games this week that we've blown leads in the ninth inning that we could win. So just late game manager stuff that was my main takeaway, is that we gotta figure out how to win close games. So. Overall, I feel like not like a terrible, like an awful week, but, with all the injuries going on, you can be happy with your own win, I guess.
Yeah, my main thing is you just never know what you're going to get out of certain guys. Like, I was honestly excited to see Ethan Rose start on Sunday, and then goes out there and throws a stinker. But then you have like someone like Jackson DiLorenzo, who was, I think, his second appearance on the year, who threw 3 shutout innings. So you never know exactly what you're going to get out of some guys, which sometimes this is not the way you want to be. You're fine with that out of guys like a DiLorenzo, who you don't see much, but he goes out there and throws 3 shutout innings against a top-tier mid-major in the country. I think there's like a Twitter account I saw who does like mid-major rankings, and UTSA was like 3rd after this weekend, which is that's a great spot to put him. I think it was after Coastal and somebody else.
Southern Miss, probably.
Yeah, Southern Miss.
Yeah, Southern Miss. Tough weekend. 1-3 with missing 2 of your 3 starting pitchers. Yeah, it's really hard to. You got Boucher, who pitched twice on the weekend. I don't mind Boucher as a pitcher. It's just when you see that, you know that maybe something's going on.
Yeah, obviously this is where it really comes to hurt us in terms of, I know going into the season, Cliff Godwin made a comment about how injuries would not be a problem for this team. And I never said anything when he first made the comment, but I knew we were daring that to happen. We were asking for this one to happen when the second that comment was made. Because obviously we are now paying for that right now. And this was a tough stretch of games. I'm not going to say it wasn't. And even this upcoming weekend is going to be another tough stretch of games. It's not as bad as last week, but it's still a tough stretch. We need to show our A game all 4 games this upcoming week too in order to get back on the right track. But I think it just hurts to know how close we were. Because if we have Van Kempen, we have Colby Weber, we are probably looking at a very different situation here, because Ryan Towers would have never pitched on Saturday. That means we have a 1-1 ball game going into the 9th. We're tied at 1 because Ryan Towers allowed 5 in the first inning before he got an out. That was very frustrating.
Very brutal.
Very frustrating. And then in the last game too, we just clearly overextended Joe Webb. Joe Webb, he pitched great. Don't get me wrong. We got a really good outing out of Joe Webb, but you could tell we really overextended him. He was throwing a lot more balls and strikes there in that later half of the 10th, and it was just, he loaded up the bases, and we had no choice at that point but to go to another arm, and that's when we brought in Alex Boucher. And as Cliff Godwin said in the interview today, I believe with Igo, it was more so he went to Boucher there because he was like, I'm going to make you earn it. Boucher's going to throw you strikes. I'm going to make you at least hit the ball and put the ball in play, see what happens. We're not going to walk in the winning run. Let's at least make you do that. Granted, UTSA is a good enough team that they were able to do that. I expected that, but, it still hurts that that's how we lose, Because we do, obviously you don't want to use injuries as an excuse. Nobody wants to. But it's a valid excuse in this moment. I don't think anybody's going to say that it didn't play a factor in this weekend series. And I think it honestly is a reason why we didn't go 4-0 this week. I think we could have gone 4-0 if we had. Honestly, I'm not even saying if we had the full offense, because obviously Lashley came back in the last game. We used Parham in the first two, but even just mainly in the pitching, if we had Van Kempen and Weber, I think it's a very, very different look all throughout. And even on the Duke game, I think it's a completely different look in that game. But obviously, it didn't go to plan as that. John, what were your thoughts on the offense as a whole this weekend? Obviously, we had some high-scoring games in there. We had 7 runs. We had 3 runs on Friday. It was a tough day to hit on Friday, though. Everybody's saying the wind was blowing really bad. 7 runs in one of the games. We had 8 runs against Duke. I'm trying to remember what the last. I'm missing one game.
We had 1 run on Saturday.
That's right, 1 run on Saturday. So not the best offensive day on Saturday. What were your thoughts overall offensively with this team?
I think it's kind of the same thing that we were talking about last week. We can light it up in spots, but in other spots we're not so consistent. So I think it's just a matter of finding that, and this team tends to do that later in the season. So my expectations, that's where my expectations are. I mean, I'm at this point, after dropping this series, I feel like winning the American regular season is probably not going to be something that we see this year, but we know if this team can get into the tournament that anything could happen, and we play our best ball at the end of the year. So I think it's just finding that consistency, because we can light it up. This offense has a lot of firepower. It's just putting all the pieces together.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that just trying to find their identity before we get into the later half of the year is the biggest key. Colby Wallace had a pretty good weekend. He had 5 hits. I think he went 5 for 14 or something, 5 for 12, 13 or something like that. So not a bad weekend for him after struggling so far this year. But yeah, I think just finding their identity as they go forward in the year. It's still early. I mean, this is only the first series of conference play, so
Second.
it's only the second series of conference play. I forgot we played UAB. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think the concerns with this team are the offense, though, to be honest with you. So.
Well, you say that, and I think it is. I mean, it's so, like we talked about, it's Jekyll and Hyde all the time, and you just never know what you're going to get out of our offense, and it's really tough to manage with that. With GVK and Weber, we were able to be like, okay, you can't score 3 runs, then yes, the offense is the problem, but we scored 7. 3 with an Ethan Orby performance like that, you're probably getting the same type of performance from GVK at least.
Yeah.
On Saturdays, and like Nick mentioned, and it might have been a 1-1 game going into it. And you have guys, because Ryan Towers, I don't mind, and a guy like Ethan Rose, I don't mind, but they are leverage matchup dependent type of guys. Charlie Hoagland, who's had a good year. Kind of surprising, not a guy who you really talked about before the year started, but he's had a good year. He's a matchup dependent guy. I like what he's done, but him having to throw as many innings as he has, I don't love. Even with how good he's done, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I also, at this point specifically, I think the arms are the problem here. Earlier in the season, I was willing to say it was the bats, it's the offense. I do think it's pitching right now, just because of the lack of arms we have. We're clearly overextending guys. It's very clear that we are trying to go to the best arms we have in a limited number of best arms we have in situations. And Cliff Godwin doesn't have the full bullpen to his advantage like he did earlier in the year. So I do think right now the pitching staff is what's holding this team back. I think that's a big reason why we did not win this past series, didn't win against Duke. I think it's a big reason as to all of that. And I will even go back and say a big reason why we didn't win against UAB too, but that's, that was last week. But that being said, it definitely sucks. Obviously, we now know that Colby Weber is now officially done for the season, so somebody's going to have to step up and fill in that Sunday role. Gentlemen.
Well, it's more than likely. It's not official.
More than likely, true. The doctors have not confirmed that, but it is more than likely on that. Gentlemen, obviously, we're still GVK could potentially come back later May. That being said, we do have a big week coming up this week. We got UNCW tomorrow, which we're not going to talk about too much because by the time this is out, that game will already have happened. But we're recording this on Monday. UNCW tomorrow, and then we have Charlotte this week, who's also another good conference opponent. What do you think we're going to need to do pitching-wise in order to figure this out, in order to kind of manage the injuries we have?
That's kind of a tough question. I feel like there's not much more that we can be doing pitching wise. It's not like we can go and sign a free agent or anything. We just got to put the guys in there and hope that they can produce results. I mean, I really would not like to see Ryan Towers on the weekend again, preferably. Like, I don't want to see him on the mound to start any of those games against Charlotte. I don't know, man. I think that like we're getting good results from certain guys in certain spots, like Gavin Marley, Charlie Hoagland, and then we got a good 3 innings from D'Lo. Like there are guys that are stepping up. It's just a matter of a complete 9-inning performance from the entire staff. And I mean, some of these guys, like they weren't really expected to get as much burn as they're getting because of these injuries. So it's like, how can you be angry at them, I guess. I would like to see Bretton Tolik step it up though. I feel like he had a lot of high expectations on him last year while he was injured, and then coming into this year as well. I feel like if he can, find a hot streak, that would be huge for us as a team. Other than that, I don't really see what else we could do different besides just playing with the lineups and seeing what works and trying to get the best guys in there for the specific matchups or the specific portion of the lineup that we're facing.
Yeah, I think you made good points about how, we really can't do much more, I feel like. I mean, we could try maybe throwing Sean Jenkins as a starter this weekend. I mean, were you all surprised to see Sean not starting at all this weekend?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, maybe try it out just to see. But what would y'all like to be against that, or?
Yes, I would.
I don't think I would be against it. I don't know that I'd be ecstatic for it just because he hasn't been in that role all season.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. He did just have a pretty crappy outing over the weekend, but I really don't know how many other options we have, especially going against this UNC Charlotte team who's hitting the ball ridiculous. They have like 7 guys batting over 300. And we're pretty similar skill, I feel like skill-wise team. So
Don't compare us to them.
I was about to say.
Don't compare us to little brother.
all right, well, we're not. They're our little brother, but yes, I mean they're a good team. They're 18-10, 3-3 in the conference. They're a pretty solid mid-major. So I think it's gonna be tough. I think for the pitching this week. I'll be honest with you guys. Keep it real.
I mean, I kind of threw me off with Tyler saying all that. Sorry. I'm trying to get back to it. I think this weekend obviously is going to be fairly tough. I don't see why we can't get out of it. I think that you'll see probably I think it'll be 2 different starters on Saturday and Sunday. I don't think it's gonna be Towers and Rose again.
Well, the games are on Friday and Saturday because they're taking Easter off.
Yeah.
But and also,
true.
Charlotte's also not playing a midweek game either, so they're gonna have more arms.
Tyler, stop. You're glazing Charlotte right now. It's really pissing me off.
Yeah, I'm just keeping it real, dude.
Don't glaze Charlotte.
I'm not glazing. I'm just saying they're not playing midweek games.
You're glazing them.
Talking about, man.
Anyways,
You got a Niners fan over here.
I was just gonna say I don't necessarily. I think you'll see different stuff. And back to the Sean Jenkins thing, I just think that means you're only keeping him limited to only 1 game, and that's why I like keeping him in the bullpen. That's all I'd say.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Obviously I'm not going to sit here and say Charlotte's not good because obviously we know the opponent they are. However, that being said, I think when you look at the talent on both teams, it's really not that comparable. I think we're a much better team than UNC Charlotte, just in general. Obviously, the injuries probably puts us more on their level because we did lose two of our 3 starting arms in the rotation. But I think in general, I think we are a much better team than UNC Charlotte is. I think we can come out this weekend and we have to prove that. I think due to the injuries, we are going to drop a game. I will straight up say that. I think we are going to drop a game because of those injuries. But I think we will also win one too. The bats are going to have to come to life. We're playing here at Clark LeClaire Stadium. Unfortunately, it's Easter weekend here, so a lot of the students are going home. It won't be the same crowd that you would normally see for a game like this. However, That being said, I think that actually benefits our team because when you have such a younger group of guys here, when they are in that kind of moment with that many fans behind you, every time that's happened so far, they've kind of folded under pressure. Like you haven't seen them kind of come to life and thrive off that. So I think that actually might benefit them this weekend. That being said, I do think it's going to be really interesting. I agree with why we're keeping Sean Jenkins in the pen. Cliff Godwin, when he was asked about it last week, if we would see Sean Jenkins in the starting role, he said it was very clear that if he when you look at the numbers of him in the bullpen versus him in the starting role, it's not even close why we have him in the bullpen, and he's more than likely going to stay in the pen for probably the remainder of the season if I had to guess.
Probably the remainder of his career.
Probably, yeah. I don't think we'll see Sean Jenkins in a starting position probably for the rest of his time here at ECU. That being said, I do really think we need a better performance out of Sean Jenkins, obviously. We need him to come out of the pen, and I hate this, but we need him to come out of the pen and really have a dominant performance like he did against UNC, where he went 5 innings, or 4 or 5 innings, and he just had dominant pitching performance. We need him to do that now more than ever. Obviously, he's going to be coming in, and it's not going to be the same. Like, okay, you're going behind GVK. Now you're going to be coming in behind, I don't know, Nick Moran, which I'm shocked we didn't see him this weekend, to be honest with you. But you're going to be coming in behind somebody else.
He'll start tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. But it's like, you're going to be coming in behind somebody else. And the scoreboard might look a little bit different than what you saw against GVK. It might be a 5-4 ball game when you're coming in. You still need to come in and perform the same way you would if... Not again. Okay, this happened again. Sorry, guys. We're in here. There we go. We still need that same kind of performance and the same kind of fire as Sean Jenkins. I'm gonna go ahead and get a start with the predictions for this week. I think we go 2-1 this weekend against UNC Charlotte here at home. Like I said, I just think overall talent-wise, I think we are the better team. I don't think it's really that comparable. I just think due to injuries, we are going to drop a game.
I mean, I think we're going to lose the series. I think we're going to lose 2-1. I just think that the pitching injuries are honestly, it seems like it's a little too much right now. I mean, like, you call yourself a podcaster and you're just biased, man. Like, I keep it real. Like, you're just biased. You're sitting here, you're biased.
Because it's little brother, that's why. Why on earth would I?
We are also an ECU sports podcast.
True. Oh,
like,
What?
The thing almost fell.
Oh, I was like,
great catch. Great catch.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, true, but like, I would rather be right, and we're gonna lose the series. Like, I'm gonna say right here, right now, we're gonna lose the
I
series.
agree with you,
100%.
Tyler. I agree with you. I think we're gonna go 1-2. I think last year last year doesn't matter, obviously, but I feel like I personally tend to underestimate the Charlotte baseball team, and last year they came out and kicked us in the freaking teeth. And I think that's gonna happen again. I'm not gonna lie, unless we absolutely light it up offensively. And Ethan Norby has to have the same exact performance that he did against UTSA for us to win on Friday.
I would like to say I think we might have an historic moment here. Mr. Gates, are we about to agree?
You know what I'm gonna say? 3-0, baby! 3-0! 3-0! Screw the 49ers! Nick, come on. Give it to me. 3-0!
BTA Charlotte, baby!
Yeah!
BTA!
Tell them, Nick. Tell them. 3-0. We're going to kick the 49ers in the butt. Nick Green's going to hurt himself again, and that's why we do it for the Pirates.
Hey, clip that when we have a losing record in conference after this weekend. Everyone clip that.
3-0, baby.
We're gonna have
3-0.
to.
And you know what we're going to do? We're going to lose tomorrow to Wilmington.
Nick almost tore his meniscus again.
Probably, yeah. It's about to happen again. But you know, it's okay. We made it out alive. But
That was not scripted either.
no, none of that was scripted. But that being said,
None of this show is scripted.
oh
in
no,
case
we
you're
don't
wondering.
script anything here. The only thing that's scripted is whatever happened the past weekend. We know the scores. That's it. Everything else we talk about is very authentic. That being said, do y'all have any final closing remarks before we end this podcast?
TV's and Blazer, Charlotte.
Hey, let's not sit here and act like I'm not rooting for us, but I'm gonna keep it
you're
real,
rooting
man.
against us.
I'm gonna keep it real, man.
You're either for us or against us.
I would rather underpredict and overachieve than overpredict and underachieve.
Yes,
because
I'm
that
all
feels
day.
worse.
I'm with you, Cannon.
I
I'm
don't
with
care.
you. That being said, thank you guys so much for watching this week's episode of TECSpertZ. We'll be back again next week for another episode of TECSpertZ to recap what just happened and review the next week. That being said, thank you so much for watching. Go
Go
Pirates.
Pirates.